就还是照了我的道理，不是你能进去的。
一举一动都受我限制，魔王当真甘心吗？
归来兮，徒步9月。
要将地碟交出来，我任由二位离去。
If one could understand 4 or 5 parts out of 10 of a language, then whatever remained would be no different from a cipher. By relying on the surrounding context, one could still deduce its meaning. That was exactly how Qinmu did it. He originally did not know the devil language. He had only overheard it by chance at the Divine Maiden Temple in the Great Ruins, and later, the devil god sealed within Zhenyang Palace transmitted to him the Great Freedom Mudra. From that point on, he gradually came to understand part of the devil language. With that foundation, he was able to infer even more like layers of encrypted codes being unlocked one after another. The 3 oath covenants of the Dutian Devil King were spoken in an extremely orthodox form of devil language. Qinmu had long known that the words of gods and devils carried terrifying power. This time through the oath covenant, his mastery of the devil language advanced by leaps and bounds. If the Devil King had sworn the oath in human language, Qinmu might even have been able to fully cross-reference it and completely grasp the devil language. Being accused of stealing knowledge was truly not unjust. Even though he could already communicate using the devil language, Qinmu still chose human language to avoid being led astray. His eyes flickered as he said, "Then does the Devil King still wish to establish an oath covenant?" "Yes, of course I do." The Dutian Devil King sneered coldly. Other than killing Qinmu, he had no other choice otherwise. Even this fragment of consciousness would perish together with him. The oath covenant was recited in human language. When Qinmu followed and chanted it, he sensed a vast existence casting its gaze upon his soul, one that cared only for souls and had no concern for the physical body. Whoever violated the covenant would have their soul taken away. Before his eyes appeared a complete gate. Beyond it lay endless darkness. Below it flowed the yellow springs, winding like a celestial river. At the deepest end of the yellow springs were a pair of emotionless eyes. That was not water. They were the horns of Tubo. The 9 bends of the yellow springs were precisely the 9 oaths. The covenant was established upon the horns of the god who governed souls. The gate closed. The Dutian Devil King burst into loud laughter. "You're cunning, but you still fell into my trap. The one you signed the oath with was not my true body, only a strand of consciousness. Even if I die, it means nothing. As for the language of Yudu, don't dream of me uttering a single word of it." Qinmu froze for a moment, then let out a faint laugh. "Luckily, I also left myself a way out. Killing your subjects in batches may not necessarily count as violating the covenant." Both sides fell silent. In the end, the Devil King proposed leaving Qinmu's body and parasitizing a mechanical god statue instead, in exchange for transmitting the Yudu language. Qinmu agreed, but immediately sensed the trap. If he crafted the statue before summoning the devil, it would be he who violated the covenant. After many days, the mechanical god statue was finally completed. At that moment, the steward of the National Preceptor's residence delivered 1,000 large denomination currency notes. Hulinga immediately dashed out, snatching them up, smiling as brightly as a flower. Only then did she finally feel at ease. Just as old Fu was warning about rampant thefts in the capital, 2 elderly men, dressed in luxurious attire, stepped into the scholar's residence, one crippled, the other resembling a reclusive scholar. Under the surface, hidden currents surged once more. Seeing this, old Fu said, "Young master has guests. This old servant will take his leave. I still need to deliver money to several other households." 2 families were completely robbed. Without funds, they may starve to death in a few days. The cripple and Elder Ma stepped forward. The cripple wore a smug expression, while Elder Ma appeared calm, as though wealth and poverty had nothing to do with him. Qinmu invited them inside and asked where they had gone over the past few days. The cripple laughed and said that Liwan Prefecture had fallen into chaos, corpses of starved civilians lining the roads. The 2 of them had gathered funds to provide relief. All the gold and jade on their bodies were fake. The real items had already been pawned in exchange for grain. Even the Corpse Immortal sect had lent assistance. After listening, Qinmu recounted the matter of forming an oath covenant with the Devil King. The cripple and Elder Ma immediately changed expressions. "An oath sworn before Tubo. You're truly gambling with your life." Elder Ma grew even more solemn. Tubo's 9 oaths are incomparably vicious, let alone when the other party is an extra-dimensional devil god. Chin Mu replied with only one sentence. I want to learn the Yudu language. The two old men fell silent at the same time. At last, Chin Mu said that the covenant had already been established, and that the only remaining step was to summon the devil. He hoped they would assist him. Elder Ma nodded. Summon it. Killing it will settle everything. Chinma took out bones and talisman treasures and began summoning the devil. The celestial phenomena above the Imperial College instantly changed. Devil power descended from the heavens like a black pillar shaking the entire city. But before the devil could even manifest, a colossal Buddha's palm pressed down from the void, crushing both the consciousness of the devil god and the wooden statue in a single blow. The entire Imperial College trembled. Gu Liyuan led people rushing over, only to see Chin Mu poking his head out and smiling. A devil god just caused some trouble. One of the elders in my family already beat it to death. Cold sweat poured down Gu Liyuan's back. He immediately dispersed the crowd, cursing inwardly. These fiends really can't be provoked. Afterward, the Imperial College relocated all scholars out of the scholars' residence. Inside Chin Mu's mind, the Dutian Devil King roared in fury. Why did you summon only one? Chinbu replied calmly, summoning one is still summoning. Now it's your turn to transmit the Yudu language. The Devil King was so furious that he laughed instead. Fine, I'll teach you just one sentence. He emitted a bizarre sound, not from his throat but directly from his soul. Chinmu immediately imitated it, and succeeded. Instantly murderous intent arose within the Devil King. In the end, he explained that the sentence meant, Gate of Kunyuan. Gemma remained half convinced. He then invited the Devil King to leave his body and enter the mechanical god statue. The Devil King was wary, fearing he would be killed. Just as Chin Mu was reconnecting Elder Ma's arm, a streak of lightning shot from between his brows into the god statue. The Devil King immediately escaped, controlling the 8-armed, 4-faced mechanical god statue as it fled. It had not even taken 10 steps. Crack. Its leg joints locked tight. Then its entire body emitted a series of sharp clicks, like interlocking mechanisms sealing shut. The god statue froze in place. Damn it, I've been tricked again. Hu Linga poked her head out, pouting. Young Master already said it was a mechanical god statue. Mechanical mechanisms are good, aren't they? Oh right, young Master. You're not a male fox spirit who's cultivated sentience, are you? You really look like one. After finishing reconnecting Elder Ma's arm, Chin Mu went on to reconnect the cripple's leg. He placed both of them into the medicine cauldron, filled it with water and boiled it until it bubbled furiously. Ordering Hulinga to tend the fire, stepping out into the courtyard, night had already fallen. The scholar's residence was utterly deserted, only the Dutian Devil King stood stiffly frozen in the alley. Chinma opened the abdomen of the mechanical god statue and flicked a gear twice. The moment the Devil King could move, he bolted only to take a few steps before his entire body locked up again with a series of sharp clicks. Big Dragon drag him in. The dragon Killin ambled over, bit down on the Devil King's leg, dragged him into the courtyard, and flung him against a corner wall. If you've got the guts, fight me 300 rounds. The Devil King roared with curses. Chinmi ignored him and continued coordinating the spirit medicines. The god statue crackled with lightning as it tried to break free, but the sealing talisman inscriptions on its body blazed with light, forcibly suppressing it. These were talisman runes Chin Mu had learned from the Lulan Golden Palace, secretly engraved in advance. When everything was done, Chin Mu said solemnly, "Teach me the entire Yudu language and I'll release you. If I believed you, I'd be your grandson." The Devil King spat. "Then shall we swear a Tubo oath? Get lost." Ah. Inside the medicine cauldron, the cripple squinted and smiled. Mua has really grown up. I'm starting to worry more about those who oppose him than about him himself. Elder Ma stared straight at him. "What are you looking at me for? I didn't teach him to be devious." Elder Ma replied coolly, "I served as a constable for several decades." No wonder. By dawn, the two old men had completely recovered. After finishing a peaceful meal, they prepared to leave. "Remember to come back to the village for the new year." Definitely. Once outside the capital, the two stopped by the Tu River. The national preceptor of the Diankang nation stood upon the water's surface and asked directly about the imperial token. The cripple laughed. "I gave it to the Zhongzhan Grand Master already." The national preceptor froze, then finally shook his head and left. Imperial authority does not lie in the imperial token, but in the hearts of the people. Returning to the scholar's residence, Chin Mu found a piece of jade ring while tidying up. Grandpa Cripple's imperial token. He tied it back onto the jade pendant, intending to return it to the village later. Then he unlocked the god statue. "You can move now." "I disdain it," the Devil King sneered. Hulinga planted her hands on her hips. "My young master has 100 ways to deal with you." 100 is still too few," Chin Mu replied calmly. The Devil King roared. "Give me a clean death." Chin Mu shook his head. "I'm not that kind. Linga, from now on, let him follow you. I'll teach you how to control the mechanisms." The Devil King went completely numb. Chinma taught Hulinga how to operate the mechanical god statue. With a gentle push on a concealed square inside its chest, the control panel popped open. This god statue was forged from refined cold metal essence, nearly 3 zhang tall, with an extremely complex structure, thousands of interlocking gears inside. Even without the Dutian Devil King, Hulinga could still wield it as a terrifying suit of heavy armor. Hulinga's interest flared instantly. She drove the god statue straight out. The dragon Killin hurried after her, its belly nearly scraping the ground. Chinmu shook his head. This one really should eat less. He took a deep breath and circulated the hegemonic body 3 cauldrons technique, his divine transformation forming into Zengxing Lord. Behind him a gate slowly manifested. Chinmu used his soul to chant the Yudu phrase taught by the Dutian Devil King. The gate opened. Inside lay endless darkness. He cautiously stepped in and suddenly saw a boat drifting within the darkness, a dim lamp hanging at its prow. On the boat, an old man silently crafted paper figures. The lamplight swept over. Chinmu's soul was instantly immobilized. In the next blink, he found himself standing on the boat, while his physical body stood motionless before the gate. His soul had been hooked. Panicked, Chinmu leapt off the boat, but beneath him was not water, only bottomless darkness. He fell, and fell, despair swallowing everything. Just as he was about to sink completely, he exhausted all his strength and howled that Yudu phrase with his soul. The darkness responded. An ancient voice echoed like the ritual chants of primordial ancestors. His soul was lifted, transforming into a streak of light that shot straight toward the gate. Chinma returned to his body drenched in cold sweat. The boat drifted closer again. The old man looked at him. This time, he did not raise the lamp. He only said, "The words you recited were kunyuan. This is not a gate for the living. This is Cheng Tian Youdu." The boat slowly vanished. Chinmu stood in silence for a long time, then let out a cold laugh. "Dutian Devil King, you really did hide a blade." But in the next instant, he froze. His soul had grown more solid. From the gate, an invisible force was nourishing his soul. The Dutian Devil King had not lied, he had simply not told the whole truth. Recognizing the characters on the gate and opening Cheng Tian Youdu had indeed caused Chinmu's 5 Wonders realm to reach an unprecedented level of completeness. Chinmu lowered his gaze to the book in his hand. Characters shaped like birds and beasts, sun and moon gradually emerged. He still could not read them, but he understood them. Knowledge flowed silently straight into his soul. There were not many characters in the book yet. With a single glance, Chinmu felt countless principles of soul cultivation appear in his mind. The Dutian Devil King had claimed this was a Yudu spell technique, clearly another deception. Out of 100 of his words, only 1 was true. And that single true thing was the Yudu language. These characters were primarily meant to strengthen the soul. Spell techniques were only secondary. But when cross-referenced with arts such as Thunderclap 8 Strikes, Great Educational Heavenly Devil Scriptures, Soul Summoning Guide and others, their power could skyrocket. Chinma began to practice. He fused the principles of Yudu into sunshine, refining Yang Soul in the sky, a technique that had already reached perfection. A punch struck out, thunder roared, sunlight blazed, but what it burned was not the body, but the soul. Karma fire was born. With the final punch, the sun exploded in mid-air, karma fire flooding the entire courtyard.